Let's start with the original post. Hi. So I, female 25, am currently being pushed back and forth with my choice, and I thought the lovely people of Reddit might be able to rein me in. I am currently 13 weeks pregnant, and my friends around me have all been very happy and excited for me. However, my childhood friend, female 25, let's call her Lisa, has stonewalled me since I announced at 8 weeks. I had assumed it was wedding stress, but now I'm second-guessing this. Over the weekend, I was scrolling Instagram and came across a post where she thanked everyone for coming to her bachelorette. Photos of the girls and her smiling in the middle, and I sort of sat there shocked. At first, I tried to be mature and just let it go. But this was a girl I grew up with. She was a bridesmaid in my wedding party, and I'm an honorary bridesmaid for hers. She's not having a wedding party. In the end, I guess hormones took over, and I ended up reaching out to her. At first, I went, "Oh, looks like fun," and she replied that it was. After a tub of ice cream and a good sob, I reached out again and went, "Hey, sorry to be this person, but why wasn't I invited?" She immediately messaged me back with the response. "Tabor, the whole day was centered around drinking, wineries, and heading to town after, and I'm not sure you would have enjoyed being around all of us drunk, especially because you're pregnant right now. I get that an invite would have been nice regardless, but in all honesty, I just wanted to keep it very small. I'm really sorry you feel that way, but I don't want to make this a big thing because I've already had a shoot week." I tried to respond with, "Hey, thanks for getting back to me, but I'm still upset because the day is about you and I wanted to be there to celebrate you." Then she called me and just asked me to not make this a big thing once again, and she sounded incredibly annoyed. Like the doormat I am, I dropped it. After thinking this over for the past few days, I'm feeling very hurt and heartbroken. This was a girl I grew up with and loved and supported through a lot of stuff. I've helped her plan and prepare a lot for her wedding, so to suddenly get iced out like this, I'm feeling a certain way. My husband suggests we don't go, and I'm on the edge. So Reddit, would I be the jerk if I declined going to her wedding and distancing myself? Now for a few comments. Complex Storm 1929 said, "NTA. Her saying don't make this a big thing would piss me off. If you guys are close, then she 100% should have at least invited you. The whole, it's my wedding and I can invite and do what I want is true. However, that doesn't mean you have no consequences for your decisions. To me, she doesn't consider you as good of a friend as you may think." Beneficial Year 1 commented, "I'm an honorary bridesmaid for hers. She's not having a wedding party. What the heck is this? Is it a new fad I haven't heard of, or a way to get more partying and gifts from your friends without having them in the wedding? In any case, WNBTA for ghosting her wedding. She deliberately did something that she knew would hurt your feelings and told you not to make a big thing out of it." Temporary Tie 233 added, "I'd say there's a good chance she is lying about not having a bridal party, and that will be another cruel surprise for OP if she attends. Not the idiot OP. This friendship might have run its course. That might make you sad because change is hard, but dropping her so you can focus on real friendships will be a win in the long run." Now for the update 1 day later. "Hi, hope this is allowed, but you were all so wonderful and helpful, and it turns out I got an update sooner than I expected, so I haven't heard from Lisa, which I expected. What I didn't expect is a friend of Lisa to get in touch with me. Let's call her Sarah. I knew of Sarah and spoke to her a few times at events we attended together. She was one of the girls with me when we went wedding dress shopping for Lisa. She was also a friend I noticed wasn't at the Bachelorette, which was a surprise. Anyway, at first she was doing a "Hey, how are you?" and we did polite small talk, blah blah, until she finally went, "So are you as pissed off and mad as I am at Lisa?" Immediately, I was slightly shocked as the few times I had met Sarah, she was very, I guess, demure. That opened the floodgates of information, and she told me everything she knows. So, what I didn't put in the post is I actually waited 2 days before messaging Lisa about the lack of invite. Turns out 3 of Lisa's friends who also weren't invited hit her up immediately after she posted on Instagram, asking why they weren't invited. Turns out these girls absolutely chewed Lisa alive, and my confrontational was soft. Finally, it was revealed what actually happened, and now I'm even more confused. So, Lisa admitted to Sarah that her sister-in-law planned the Bachelorette and just decided she was only going to invite the friends she knew. So, Lisa's usual group of 8 to 10 friends, including me, got narrowed down to 4, and Lisa decided not to correct her sister-in-law and just went with it, not realizing how many people she would be upsetting by not inviting them. Apparently, once people started attacking her, Lisa buried her head in the sand and started making up lies to everyone on why they weren't invited, using the same excuse of "don't make this a big deal," until everyone realized the reasons were nonsense and called her out for it. The real truth came out. Sarah informed me the girls who weren't invited have all pulled out of the wedding, their partners included, because they got the same annoyed response from Lisa before she told the truth. and they all thought they didn't deserve that. Then she finally asked me what Lisa told me, and I went deathly quiet on the phone before finally admitting she used my pregnancy as an excuse, which then started poor Sarah on another rant of anger on how Lisa could say that to me. When I'm pregnant? Anyway, we ended the call, and she hoped we could get coffee sometime. So I think I've made a friend? So that's the update. This pregnant lady is very confused, and I'm currently the #1 buyer of ice cream at my local dairy, LOL. Now for a few comments. The last Yellow Skittle said, "Don't go. Whatever is going on behind the scenes will ensure this isn't a celebratory event with friends and laughter. Finish whatever tasks you're working on / promised for the wedding and bow out. It's already extremely toxic, and my guess would be that you haven't even seen all the drama yet. Focus on your new bundle to be and use the day of the wedding as some time for you and your husband to baby moon or pre-baby moon," Uncle Rumpy 12 suggested. And when she drops out of the wedding, OP should use her pregnancy as the reason. Tired of usernames 11 shared. So my biggest issue with all this is Lisa lying to you and her other friends. I suspect if she had been honest with you, this wouldn't have been a big thing. Hey, my future sister-in-law planned this and excluded people she didn't know. I felt uncomfortable pushing back. I regret it because I know it hurt the feelings of people I care about. How hard is that to say? Logical Difference 529 asked. I can't figure out why the hell she posted it online. OP responded, I think that's the part that I'm struggling with as well. It's the fact she posted it online. It's the fact that the caption was, "Couldn't have asked for a better day, blessed with the best of friends." Now for the original post. And maybe I'll admit that's an odd thing to get upset about, but it just felt a bit like someone cut me open and then rubbed salt and lemon juice into the wound. It's one thing not being invited. It's another seeing a caption like that and having the internal thought of, I'll just go frick myself then. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, okay, so I was actually feeling bad for her, thinking that maybe she has a sister-in-law that is domineering and one of those people that everyone just goes along with because they will throw a literal fit if you don't. And then I read the caption. No idiots here. She did that shoot on purpose. Just cut her out of your life. You just read how she feels about you. Now for the update. 5 days later. Guys, I want off this train. So minor and small update. So as mentioned in my previous post, Lisa and I are childhood friends, and our mothers are friends. I finally shared what had happened with my mom, and first mom was so upset for me, but also gave me an I told you so. OP, you are too much of a doormat. Thanks, mom. But she then said I have a big heart, and sometimes people tend to use and abuse it. Once again, thanks, mom. Anyway, mom then gave more tea, more gossip. So apparently, while Lisa has been telling people that she's paying for her wedding out of her own pocket, turns out a big fat lie. Lisa's mother had been sending her money, and from what my mother told me, it was a decent chunk of change. How do we know this? Well, Lisa's mom went to my mom upset, because one thing I forgot to notice is Lisa's mom wasn't invited to the Bachelorette party. Context for people outside NZ, we don't have bridal parties, so usually what people do is the older generation gets invited to like dinner, and then the younger girls go out and party. If you have a piss-up, if you don't have a piss-up, and just do a more chilled Bachelorette, then mom will be there the whole time, like mine. So, Lisa's mother was distraught because she had been sending Lisa a decent amount of cash. Had been told she wasn't allowed to give her opinion about anything to do with the wedding, and then wasn't invited to her Bachelorette. And Lisa's mother is honestly a nice lady, so to hear that it kind of broke my heart. And if I had known Lisa's mother was sending money, I would have told Lisa to pull her head in. My mom then had to break the news about why I wasn't invited to the Bachelorette, and Lisa's poor mother was mortified. So that's the update. Is it even an update? I don't know. I'm just very sad at this point because I don't know where my friend has gone. If she's there anymore? Is this a Bridezilla moment? I don't know. My ice cream journey, though. I read everyone. People have been loving this pregnancy lady's carving, so allow me to indulge. Recently, I tried the Ben & Jerry's banoffee flavor, and it was very good. I wish the caramel swirl was mixed throughout all the ice cream, but beggars can't be choosers. And I had the most amazing strawberry sorbet the other day. Honestly, so good, I almost asked the ice cream shop for a tub of it, but I had self-control. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, you know, I'm not sure I believe this story about how Lisa's sister-in-law set the guest list. I think that might be a lie Lisa was telling to Sarah to try to excuse her actions. If that's the case, Lisa totally threw her sister-in-law under the bus. Which, does sister-in-law know that she's being partly blamed for this? Kinda wonder if Lisa's mother would appreciate knowing that maybe she wasn't included because Lisa's sister-in-law made all the decisions. OP responded, I'm starting to realize that is most definitely the case. Sister-in-law has been thrown under the bus because Lisa is realizing that people don't take too kindly to being disrespected. As for Lisa's mom, knowing about Lisa's excuse, I don't know. I'll talk to my mom and see what she thinks. For now, I don't want to overload the poor woman, because it's a lot. Another commenter added, it really comes down to the story of the groom throwing his tantrum. If that story is true, I think it really is all pressure from the in-laws. The bachelorette party being driven by the in-laws, the wedding party being driven by the in-laws, the wedding being driven by the in-laws. Anyways, whatever the motivation, Lisa is doing a fantastic job burning bridges, OP replied. I would like to acknowledge quickly in the comments that just because my friend's mom was sending her money doesn't make her mom entitled to change things about the wedding. But looking back on conversations I have had with Lisa, I know for a fact her poor mom got absolutely stonewalled when it came to offering suggestions. Now for the final update. 1 month later. Just want to give a big thanks to everyone on Reddit for coming along on this wild journey with me. You have all helped me not go insane this past month. On to the update. So I attended the wedding. I know you can all boo me in the comments, but I was leaning towards not going until I spoke to my mom, who ultimately told me this would be a nice way of closing our chapter of friendship. I could walk away with my head held high. Later, she told me that also Lisa's mom begged my mom to convince me to attend. I attended with my husband, and I immediately noticed the vibe and aura was completely off. People of Reddit who are married who will understand me, weddings feel like love. This didn't. This was technically an Instagram picture-perfect wedding, but it could have been anyone's wedding. It didn't feel personal. My friend barely smiled unless it was photos. Her vows were robotic, and the MOH was useless. That was my biggest pet peeve. It is not that hard to see the bride's dress needs fluffing, or she needs a drink. And even I'll admit, I felt no joy watching speeches and how everyone spoke about the groom and threw something in for the bride at the last second. The bride acted like we were good, like there was no beef, like the Bachelorette thing never happened. I felt strange. I didn't like it because I know her, and she isn't able to hide her emotions, and she wears her emotions on her sleeves, so I think she genuinely thinks nothing is wrong between us. She pulled me aside and said how she loved and appreciated me, and how she was excited to be an honorary auntie, and kept touching my belly and blowing kisses at it. I left the wedding feeling a lot of emotions. I know I'm hormonal right now, and I feel everything, but I don't know. But I can sit here and admit the friendship is done. I don't think I can look at her the same after everything I learned talking to my mother and with how I was treated. The chapter is closed, and other than the bridesmaids thing, I can look back somewhat fondly on our childhood and time together, planning our marriages out with our Bratz dolls. I've never been good with friendship breakups, but this time I think I am. I think I'll be okay. Thank you all for listening to the rambles of this pregnant lady who has also all enjoyed your ice cream recommendations. You have all expanded my horizons. And I'm sure the little one in my stomach appreciates it too. Signing off, Love OP. Now for a couple of comments. One commenter said, she will want you back when her marriage is off. Stay away and enjoy motherhood. Another added, she's totally going to be all over you when your baby is born. Honorary auntie, my butt. Am I the idiot for cutting off my mother after she stole my identity to buy a boat? My mom got a $30,000 personal loan in my name without my knowledge. The account is from February, which was when they bought a boat. Now they've missed 4 payments and told me they're going to let it default since the boat can't be repossessed, and they're going to call DCFS on me. I knew my mom had her eye on a pontoon boat for the last year. She and my dad retired in 2022, and while they aren't swimming in money, they weren't hurting much for it either, or so I thought. They bought a boat in February for a little over $30,000. I didn't think a lot of it since they always rented a pontoon boat 2 to 3 times a year and didn't appear to have money issues. At the start of July, I began getting my ducks in a row to buy a house. When I applied for a pre-approval, I found out my credit score was barely over 600 and I had an extra $30K plus in debt I had no idea about. Even worse, it was 90 plus days late. I told the lender the account wasn't mine, and he said my identity had probably been stolen, but it was probably someone close to me, as the money would have had to go to a bank account with my name on it. I shared a bank account with my ex-fiancé and asked the bank to look into it. They said the account had been closed a couple of years ago when we broke up, and no attempts to send money to it, take money from it, have been made since. I filed a dispute with the company and the credit agencies, as it was obvious to me I had been hacked or my identity had been stolen. About a week ago, I got a notice from the company to my apartment, first I had ever heard from them, saying they were going to charge off the account if payment wasn't made. I requested more information from them, and they linked me to their fraud department. They were able to tell me where the money was sent, to a bank account from when I was a minor that I shared with my mom. When I called that bank, they confirmed there was activity on the account, and the statements showed the loan coming in and almost all of the money being transferred into what looks like my mom's account at the same bank. I haven't used that bank in more than a decade. I called my mom and asked her about it, and she, after a long pause, said that's how they bought the boat. They made one payment on the account and realized they probably couldn't afford the monthly payment for the next 5 years. When I asked why they hadn't told me, she said it was because they figured I would say no, they were right, and that they had worked hard in their lives and wanted to enjoy retirement. It ended by them saying the boat couldn't be repossessed because it was a personal loan. My mom suggested declaring bankruptcy, and I told them I was going to the police. My mom said not to do that because they wouldn't take it seriously. When I told her I was doing it anyway, she hinted that she might have to call DCFS on me. My 2-year-old burned themselves on a hot pan earlier this year. Simple ER visit, and was told accidents happen. He's fine, regarding an unsafe home. I think I'm still going to the police because declaring bankruptcy would make it impossible to buy a house. I just needed to vent and looking for any advice. Now for a few comments. Tombstones commented, "She stole $30K, potentially ruined your financial future for 7 years, threatened to put your child in a situation where they could be taken and put in foster care for a pontoon boat." Liberal Patriot 13 advised, "Make sure you mention they are effectively trying to blackmail you into not reporting and have them add it to the police report. Get a copy of that police report and keep it near the door. If DCF gets called, allow them to check out your home and child and show them the police report. By reporting it first, you come out swinging and get the drop on them. Don't let their threats prevent you from getting your life in order." Il Palazzo 64 shared, 100% this. "Had a family member threaten CPS on my and my wife. I called and reported the incident, including the threat to police. Sure enough, CPS shows up at my house, followed by a lawsuit to take my kids by my family member. Had one court case, CPS dropped their investigation, and the family member got reamed in court for wasting resources and made to cover my legal fees. Now for the 3-month update. I filed my police report the same day as my first post. The officer and I talked for probably 20 minutes, and I printed out a statement from the bank. I spoke with a detective a couple days later for another 20 minutes. Fast forward about 2.5 weeks, and my dad called, saying my mom had been arrested. He said an officer and a detective showed up at their house asking to speak with her. When she went onto the porch, they grabbed her and arrested her. The detective, same one I talked to, explained they had a warrant. My mom has never been in trouble with the law in her life, and she got arrested on a felony. They tried talking to her, and she immediately requested a lawyer. They stopped asking questions, but didn't let her see a lawyer right away. My dad was furious, but the detective told him to have a lawyer go down to the county jail in the morning before she went to the judge. The next morning, apparently she and the lawyer talked, and she was released in the afternoon with a new court date. About a week later, I get a call from DCFS requesting to meet with me about my son. I had nothing to hide, so I agreed. We spoke for about half an hour at my apartment, and I explained the situation. She seemed understanding and told me there are no obvious issues. She just had to follow up on a report. I will say, if I'm ever in trouble, I'm hiring her lawyer. The case was dismissed at her next court date in late September. The detective called me the next day and explained the state attorney believed that they wouldn't be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt she intentionally stole my identity. He said he figured it was a BS reason because he had documents from the bank and loan company. He said the state attorney drops a lot of cases, even open and shut ones, especially when it's not violent and they have a hired attorney. She never made a statement other than her attorney telling the detective she didn't do it. He also said the loan company might go after my mom in a lawsuit. What brings me back here is that a couple weeks ago, the account dropped from my credit. Even better, though, I got a letter from DCFS yesterday saying the accusation against me was unfounded. I'm never talking to my piece of trash mom again. Thank you everyone who gave me advice and hope in my first post. It just sucks that she is probably going to end up with a free boat out of it, unless the loan company sues her, which I hope they do. Now for a few comments. Sensei the Defender suggested, send the loan company the address where the boat is kept with a photo. 1962 Michael explained, the problem is they took out a personal loan, not a boat loan. In other words, they borrowed cash in her name and then bought the boat with cash, so the boat is not collateral for the loan. They might be able to sue the parents, but they'd have to basically prove in civil court what the state's attorney would not bother prosecuting, which would probably cost more than $30 in legal fees. Lap Steel Guitar said, personally, if my parents called DCFS on me for revenge, that would be the end of my relationship with them, never to be revived again. Serenity Pickles advised, I would never let them see the grandchildren. Freeze your children's credit too. Matrix07 added, I'd send them pictures though. Here's a picture of your grandchild that you'll never see again. I feel bad the poor kids lost a grandparent, but they are not worthy. I'm feeling really overwhelmed with my current situation. I've been working at the same company for the past 5 years, and while I used to love my job, things have changed drastically over the past year. We got a new manager, and the work environment has become toxic. The new manager is very controlling and micromanages everything. It feels like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, and it's affecting my mental health. I've tried talking to HR, but nothing seems to change. I'm considering looking for a new job, but I'm worried about starting over somewhere else. I have a family to support, and the thought of leaving a stable job is terrifying. I don't know what to do. Now for a few comments. One commenter suggested, it might be worth looking into other job opportunities casually. You don't have to leave immediately, but it could give you peace of mind knowing you have options. Then another commenter said, I was in a similar situation, and leaving was the best decision I ever made. Your mental health is important. Finally, someone added, have you considered documenting everything and bringing it up with HR again? Sometimes persistence is key. Am I the idiot for delivering tacos to my pregnant friend and sparking a marital meltdown? I'm writing this post because my best friends, Kate, husband, Bert, called my husband Tim, and jerk. I have historically kept my opinion of Bert's behavior to a minimum on the grounds that good friends say their piece once and then love each other through shoot relationships. But I'm asking internet strangers to be the judge. I am traveling for work. Kate is stuck at home, working, at 7 months pregnant, on modified bed rest. Generally during the week, I drop over once or twice to bring her family some dinner. Tim cooks extra portions once a week to share, cheer her up, read her oldest a couple of bedtime stories so that mom can go to bed early and get some sleep. Bert works an office job. Stressful, I'm sure, but during her pregnancy, he's been working longer and longer hours, salaried, not overtime. She's been sad and a bit lonely. Yes, I've suggested counseling. With that for background, this evening she and I were texting. It was about 6-ish, and she got a craving for a taco place near my house and, importantly, near Bert's office. She says she asked him to grab her some on his way home. He says he's not stopping. He's got work at home, and she should just DoorDash something close. This makes her extremely sad. She says irrationally sad, but you be the judge, because he used to surprise her with her favorite tacos, and now he can't be bothered. As one does, I tell Tim. I'm 3 states away, so it was just part of our chat as I was getting back to the hotel and getting ready for a work dinner. I get back from dinner, and Tim had gone and picked her up tacos, remembered the bag of things I'd collected for her and the kid that were in my car, and pulled a tuna casserole from the freezer. Bert hates tuna casserole. He dropped them off on the porch and just texted her that there were some things I wanted her to have. Then Bert gets home. Did he bring tacos, coloring books, or a good attitude? No, he did not. He called Tim to tell him that he was in jerk for showing him up. Other colorful language was also used, including some fairly sexist nonsense. He also texted me telling me to keep my husband away from his wife. Tim did respond rudely when Bert called. Kate says he told Bert he was a failure as a human, a man, a father, and a husband. Apparently, that caused Bert to scream expletives so loud their daughter started to cry. Not good. Tim then hung up on Bert, blocked him, and texted Kate that if she needed someone in an emergency, she knew where to call, but he wasn't putting up with her shit husband any longer. It's a giant cluster, and I have no idea what's going to happen. My husband feels bad things escalated so much, particularly since their daughter was crying. He feels like a jerk at the moment. Obviously, Bert thinks he's a jerk. I think he's a sweet man. What do you guys think? Now for the update. Not a happy update. They are separating for unrelated reasons. Bert did email Tim this morning to apologize. Bert said he had forgotten I was out of town, and he didn't realize that Tim was dropping off the meal train food. It was a weird email for many reasons, but Tim responded politely, if non-committal. Tim hasn't changed his view of Bert, in part because of what happened between Bert and Kate this afternoon. Bert also texted me to apologize, but I didn't get his message until after I landed, and by then, everything else had happened. I've elected not to respond. Bert went home around noon after staying at a hotel last night. Kate's sister had taken their daughter to the park, so Bert and Kate could talk it out. Short version is that Bert has been avoiding Kate because she's not happy during this pregnancy. I mentioned in a comment that Kate had been married previously, and shortly after her first husband died, she had complications in a pregnancy that forced her on bed rest. Unfortunately, her son didn't make it. Her current pregnancy is bringing up a lot of painful memories, and she's scared she won't be able to make it to full term. So yes, she's not as cheery as she was when she was pregnant with their daughter. It's a difficult time. Bert is frustrated and angry that she's not happy, so he's been staying late and ignoring her until she stops doing that. I know that sounds horrid, but I think they could have worked through those feelings. But as he was explaining how he felt, he said she should be glad her son wasn't there because otherwise she wouldn't have this life at all. Yeah, That still knocks the wind out of me. It's so cruel. She did talk to him about that statement, but the explanation doesn't get better. In any event, for her, that was just the end. She told him she was done. They can work out joint custody, but the marriage was over. She called her sister, and she and her husband encouraged Bert to leave. Currently, Kate's not angry or sad or panicked. She's just done. Personally, I'm surprised since they've weathered some fairly shitty things, including infidelity by him. But I guess that was the line? In any event, her D&D friends are over there for Saturday games night, and they are eating waffles. She thought it was important for the internet to know that waffles are appropriate separation food. In terms of her well-being, which many kind souls were worried about, they have a prenup. The house is hers. His family property is his. I'm sure there will be a fight over custody, but she will be financially okay. In any event, she has family and friends who will help and support, regardless of what happens.